Hey everybody, welcome back. I had an interview today for the podcast with Taylor Cavanaugh, former Navy SEAL, didn't leave the Navy on the best terms, former French Foreign Legionnaire, former jail inmate, somebody who's made a lot of mistakes in his life, but he's turned himself around and he's doing what he can to try to help others turn themselves around. So please check in for that. But something that Taylor said made me want to make this transition tips episode. And it was basically, if you're going to talk the talk, you better walk the walk. So let's get into round 32 of the tactical transition tips. This episode's topic is set the example. For the close range group, those of you who are looking at your transition in less than a year, maybe even right away, embody resilience and positivity. And for the medium range group, those of you who are looking at transition in at least 5 years, inspire strong foundations. And for the long range group, those of you just starting your career, you've got at least a decade or more in front of you, build a legacy of empowerment.
When you transition out, is try to model all of the good things, the discipline, the structure, that little bit of rigidity into your everyday life. And I think that that's a great way to make that transition happen, man.
Take the time to invest in yourself because it means everything. You know? That's what the difference is. The difference is not just to collect a check. It's to live 25 years, 30, 40 years after you retire and pay it forward that way.
For my close range group, you need to embody resilience and positivity. You're going through, or you're in the midst of, a very challenging time in your career. I hope that you have prepared and have set all your pieces in place for it, but even so, you're probably still nervous, stressed, excited. All of these emotions are going to be coming at you. You need to have and to show a strong mental mindset. Things are going to be difficult. Again, even if you're fully prepared for it, you're probably going to hit some hiccups in the road, but the better prepared you are, the less those speed bumps are going to impact you. But by having a mindset of being resilient, being positive, focusing on the good things as opposed to dwelling on the negative is going to help you cope with this transition better, especially if you do face some challenges. I can speak from example that when you start looking for that next job, it may not come as quickly as you want. You can't get discouraged from it. You have to stay positive. Maybe what you're looking for isn't the best option for you, or maybe it's not meant to be for you, and you have to be able to pivot. By having a positive mindset, by being resilient, you can make that pivot as opposed to feeling like you're getting stuck in quicksand because you're just focused on going down one route. Even if you're feeling discouraged, you have to keep pushing forward. It's not just for you, it's for your family. It actually is for the people that are behind you still in their jobs, where they're looking at you for how you went through your transition. So you've got a lot of eyes that are going to be looking at you, that you need to remain positive through this. One of the things that you're going to address is moving into civilian life and moving into civilian jobs. They are going to be different than what you've been used to. They are going to, for no better way to say it, they're probably going to challenge your patience and your temperament. We are in jobs that are very high stress, very high demand positions, And you're going to find that there's a lot of civilian jobs that don't have those demands, or that the people that you're going to work with may not, well, two things. One, they may see things that are not issues that they make bigger issues, or they're going to be where you are coming to the table and bringing a level of seriousness, dedication, attention to detail. They may not be as dedicated. So all of these things are going to cause you headaches. The more positive you are, the more resilient you are, the better you'll be able to navigate these waters, as opposed to somebody who focuses on the negative, somebody who always looks at the things that are wrong and kind of gets mired in that. You look at the positive. How can you be better? How can you try to make the environment and those you're going to be in and around and working with better? You want to set a positive tone going into whatever new environment you're going to be operating in. The last thing you need to be doing is coming into a new environment, trying to acclimate yourself to new bosses, new coworkers, new organizations, and being the guy that everybody is pointing out as negative, disgruntled, doesn't go with the flow, always trying to change things, but not in a positive manner, in a, man, this is stupid, why do we do it? Or that type of negative behavior. Being positive, being resilient in all of this changes. You have to be willing and understanding that change is coming for you. You have to be able to adapt to it, because you're going to be operating in a new environment that is going to require you to operate in a way that you may not be used to, or at least in a level that you're not used to. Be open to those changes. Be mindful that if you're not a positive person, or if you don't have that, I'm not saying that big fake smile, but at least an openness, as opposed to a very closed off, I'll kind of use the analogy of the old man, get off my lawn kind of attitude. Those first impressions are not going to help you in a new environment, especially not going to help you with a new boss who might be looking at you as their person who's going to help lead their teams. They're going to be relying on that leadership, that dedication to getting the job done is what they're going to hope that you're going to bring to their team. And they're going to hope that you're going to bring that in a positive, encouraging way, as opposed to, I'm taking over, it's my way or the highway. The other thing you need to be thinking about too is, this is going to be a stressful period for your family. There is going to be some uneasiness on their part. How are you going to be in your new role? How are you going to be when you're no longer that whatever we used to be? But it's the uniform, it's the rank, it's the job assignment, it's all of those things that hopefully doesn't make your identity, but at least it's something that definitely makes us who we are. And it becomes a big part of our natural being. And so for our families, they're looking at us as, how are you going to handle that transition? Are you going to be able to adapt to new environments and new coworkers and new bosses? Is your job search going to go well? Is it going to drag out? Is it going to be time consuming? All of these things, you need to be positive and resilient for your family as well as for yourself. The thing that you can start doing now is create routines that help you maintain a positive mental attitude. Some of the easiest things you can do: exercise daily, get a good amount of sleep each day, and be mindful of the food and all the stuff that you're taking in to your body, both nutritionally, but also what are you delving into on social media? What are you reading? Are you constantly reading stuff that's negative? Are you bypassing the negatives and focusing on the positives, or are you pausing on the negatives and letting that stuff just kind of ruminate in your head? Little things like that can impact the overall level of your positive mindset and your ability to be resilient. This episode is brought to you by Soflete, a tactical fitness company founded by special operations soldiers. Soflete is dedicated to helping you achieve a healthy lifestyle. From expertly crafted training programs to high-quality proteins, pre-workouts, and sleep and recovery supplements, they've got everything you need to power through your day. Soflete also has a full line of clothing. They have you covered from shorts to cold weather gear. Embracing the motto, Die Living, Soflete inspires us all to embrace life with vigor and resilience. So take the first step towards a healthier you. Visit soflete.com. That's SOFLETE.com. And use the promo code TDP20 to get 20% off your order. Again, that's TDP20 for 20% off your order. For the medium range group, you need to inspire strong foundations. The simplest thing you can think about is you want to be training your replacement. Yes, your transition is a few years out, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is. So it might seem like it's a little bit down the road, but it really isn't. Time's actually going to fly by, but you've got to be doing a balancing act right now. You need to be making sure that you're encouraging your teams. Even if you're not in a leadership position, you're probably in a senior level position at this point. So you've got people on your team that are junior to you. Are you encouraging them to grow? Are you, given that you have the ability to, giving them the opportunity to take charge? Or are you still maintaining what little bit of control you feel like you have to keep, whether it's something that feeds your identity, whether it feeds something in you that makes you feel valued or validated? You need to give this up. Your job now is more about making sure that the people or the person who is going to replace you is best prepared to take over and not fail. You want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can to benefit not only yourself. You want to be preparing for your transition. Don't take that out of the equation whatsoever. But make sure that you're doing everything that you can to benefit the organization. You want to leave the people that are working there and that are going to continue working there for another 10 years, 20 years after you're gone as best as they can, because then they have a ripple effect. By making them better, they make the organization better. As opposed to if you don't encourage them to grow and try to do everything that they can to the best of their ability, then ultimately the bigger ripple is the organization suffers. So what can you do right now? Make sure you're sharing the knowledge that you have. Don't hoard it. It doesn't do anybody any good for you to leave and for the person who comes in behind you to be questioning, how do I do A, B, or C? Share all of the knowledge that you have. Give it away like it was free money, because you're going to make the people behind you better and ultimately make the organization better. Be open, though, to encouraging them to grow, encouraging them to take charge, encouraging them to have input on how things can be better, and be open to learning from them. Because again, you're preparing for your transition. You have a lot of experience on your belt. You've had a lot of laps around the sun. You probably know how to do your job and probably several others' jobs very well. But the thing is that there's still stuff you can learn. And there's still new things that you can learn that the younger people on your team might be more adept and aware of, that maybe you haven't stayed on top of. But learning new things is going to help you when you transition. So it's that teeter-totter thing. You're going to encourage them to learn, but also too, when they bring something new to the table, you want to learn from them. Remember that if you constantly stay in the position of telling them how to do it, and oftentimes if you're telling them how to do it, you're telling them how you would do it. Or you're showing them how to do it, but again, you're showing them how you would do it. Be open to telling them what needs to be accomplished and then seeing how they accomplish the task. Because just because they may not do it the way you do it doesn't mean that it's wrong. That is a level of encouraging and empowering them to be their own person and see what they bring to the table. If you are in a leadership role right now, give your people the opportunities to be a leader themselves. Obviously, you can't just arbitrarily promote people, but you can delegate leadership authority to your subordinates. Hey, so-and-so, we've got this project that needs to be completed. I'm going to put you in charge of it. All I need you to do is get the task completed. You figure it out how you need to get there. What do you need for your team to accomplish the task, and give them the opportunity to take that task and run with it. Again, all you need to do is tell them what needs to get done. Let them figure out how to do it and be a resource for them to come to you and go, hey, boss, I haven't done this before. Can I get some advice on how I would tackle this? And again, just give them guidance to push them along to get past that hurdle, not to how to complete the entire task, because again, you want to see how they get to the end of the project. If you can, get your people to training. Get them as much training as they can to make them better, not just better themselves, but hopefully they be even better than you. You want the next generation, your legacy, whatever you refer to it as, when you step out that door, you want to be able to look back and say, they were doing great. I made sure that I got them everything they needed, including all of the available training that I could get them to. The ancillary ripple effect by being a good leader and encouraging your people to grow and be leaders themselves, you teach other leaders how to be good leaders because they're seeing how you lead. Their teams are seeing how your teams operate, and maybe when one of those other team members becomes a leader, they'll remember, hey, so-and-so was a good boss. I want to be like that person. So you're going to have a ripple effect, even indirectly, on people who are just going to see your leadership style, even if they're not in your direct command. I said previously that you need to be focusing on yourself, and focusing on your transition is very important, but don't only be focused on you. Be preparing for your transition, but most important, think about preparing your replacement. Whoever is going to be filling your seat next, make sure that they're set up not to fail, that they have all the necessary tools and knowledge, or at least as much knowledge and as many tools as you can get them before you're going to leave, so that you can look back and say, I did everything I could to not only ensure that they succeed, but hopefully that they do the job better than I do, or I did. If you always think that if you are in the position of taking over your job, you're the guy number 2 waiting for you to retire, waiting for you to transition out. What would you want to be in that place? What would you want to know for yourself? What would you want to have in place? And then make sure that that number 2 has it. This episode is brought to you by Trident Coffee, the veteran-owned brand where every sip inspires you to live life full steam ahead. I've been drinking their coffees for a while now, and I'm glad to partner with a company whose products I use. At Trident, they're more than just coffee. They're storytellers. Crafted by veterans, their instant cold brew is perfect for those who serve, those who have served, and anyone who values wellness. Featuring natural ingredients like organic mushrooms, adaptogens, and nootropics, it's more than just a morning pick-me-up. It's your new wellness ritual. Enjoy it at home or on the go, wherever your day takes you. Trident Coffee isn't just about great tasting coffee. It's about empowering you to be the healthiest version of yourself. Because great veterans make great citizens. Try their instant cold brew today, along with many other coffee products, and taste the freedom of wellness. Remember, when you choose Trident, you're not just choosing coffee. You're choosing a path of connection through health and wellness. Head on over to tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off your order. Again, that's TDP15 for 15% off your order. Long Range Group. Build a legacy of empowerment. This kind of builds on what I was saying before, but you're in a different position. So you might be very early into your career. You may not necessarily be a leader yet by rank or by title, but don't get it twisted. You are a leader regardless of where you're at. If you were on the first day of your job and you came into work tomorrow and now you're day 2 and there was a new person starting tomorrow, you're a leader to them. You have the opportunity to impact their career by how you interact with them. How are you treating them? Are you positive to them? Now, more than likely, if you're one day on the job, you probably aren't going to be that drastically different. But imagine when you came on the job and think about the people that you dealt with who were maybe a year on, then maybe somebody you dealt with who was 3 years in, 5 years in, 10 years in. All of those people may not have been leaders to you by rank or by title, but they were a leader. And think about the impact that they had on you and the beginning of your career by how they acted towards you or how they treated you. So in turn, what you want to be thinking about is at every level, as you move through your career, think about the people that are looking up to you, the people that are encountering you who simply as a senior member to them. And are you encouraging them to be positive, to empower them to make their own decisions? Again, I go back to, I get the fact that you can't give them autonomy like, hey, just go over, do whatever you want. But what I'm saying is that are you encouraging them to follow what they believe is the right thing to do? Or are you encouraging like, it says that in the manual, but we really don't need to do it? Well, you might be cutting corners, or somebody else may have taught you to cut corners, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way. So you need to be the fork in the road that goes, okay, let's get us back on track. Hey, this is what the manual says we got to do. This is how we're going to do it. Just one, you may be thinking, hey, I'm just going to impact one person. But if you get that person back on track, who are they going to impact through their career? Your true legacy will always be when you get to your transition and you look back, regardless of the rank that you achieved, who are the people that you impacted to be better? Who are the people that you impacted to help make their careers better by encouraging them to do the right thing, to stand up, say what's on their mind, and play the game properly? Empower them to not feel like they just have to follow the tide because they don't want to be the odd man out. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do when you're the new guy is, man, I see what the group is doing. I'm not real comfortable with it. But if they don't have an ally and somebody who can say, hey, you don't have to do that. Go down this path, follow the manual, do whatever. What I'm getting at is give them the strength and the resource to make their own decisions on what they believe they want to do. Flip side, if what they think they want to do is completely wrong or completely out of policy, you again need to bring them back in line and say, whoa, what you're doing is wrong. Do it the right way. Lead by example. Set the example for them. If you're going to be one of those people who does not want to promote, hey, I want to be that worker bee. I want to stay at this level. I know in the military there are some requirements that, hey, you're either up or you're out. So you're kind of in a goofy place where you have to, hit your wickets and move on to the next promotion. But on the first responder side, many of us have the ability to, quote unquote, sit on the sidelines. There's nothing that mandates that we have to promote. That's fine. If you want to go through your career and just go to different assignments and just be maybe the senior guy on the team, perfectly fine. Have fun, enjoy your career, follow that path that fits for you. But don't be on the sideline complaining about the organization or being what I refer to as kind of that old salt who's just always grumpy and complaining about everything under the sun, or trying to cut corners, or being disrespectful to leadership, because again, you're setting the example to the new guys coming onto your team. Show them that when there is something that's got to get done, work hard, get the task accomplished. When a leader tells you to get the job or do a task, yes, boss, we'll get right on it. Lead by example, again, not by rank or by title, just by how you do your job, by doing it properly, empowering the younger guys and the younger women who come into this job. Do it the right way. Again, if you are a leader, you don't need the rank, but let's say you are in a leadership position. Remember, one thing is, and this goes back to set the example, your actions will always speak louder than your words. We've all worked for those bosses that say the right thing, but then their actions never match what they're saying. They're not the ones who are there in the field to help when help is needed. They're not the ones who say, hey, go accomplish the task, let me know if you need me, as opposed to there is like, this is how we're going to do it. We're doing it my way. When you start doing something, they're the first one to say, no, I want you to do it this way. All of those little things where they'll say the words of a good leader, but they don't lead like a good leader. Their actions don't match their words. Make sure your actions match your words. And if anything, make sure your actions are doing it better than what you say. I would always encourage you to challenge yourself to promote to a leadership level. Not only because it's going to offer you new challenges to make you grow and make you more marketable when it comes to your transition, but it gives you the greater opportunity to make change within your organization. Because especially the higher you go in leadership, the louder your voice per se gets at the table. And the higher you move up in leadership, the louder your voice gets, because the table, as far as who's at the table, gets smaller, because you get more concentrated on the highest ranking of leadership, and it's easier to have an impact on changing the organization or voicing issues with how the organization is operating. So challenge yourself, because you're going to benefit from it, but the organization is going to benefit from it. You will always have more power to make those around you better when you're in a leadership position. When you have that ability to pass down the ability to lead to other people. You don't have to promote right away. I'm not saying that promoting just for the sake of passing the next test. Promote because you truly want to. Promote because you truly want to make the organization better. And promote because ultimately your goal is to make those that you work with better. Always aim to take care of your people. Making change, though, in an organization is slow. Don't think that simply because, hey, I went to work, or I'm going to go to work tomorrow, I'm going to set the example and everything is going to be great. It may not be. Culture takes a while to change, especially if you're operating in an environment where maybe you're now kind of the oddball who's trying to set the right example. Be patient. Don't get discouraged. You don't have to be the loudest, just be the most consistent. Go to work every day, set the example, and let the new people who come in behind you see how you do it. You are bound to have an impact on them. And then if you do promote up, you slowly make an example or a change of you be the example to a greater number of people. And then that ripple effect on who they impact gets greater. So every rung you go up the ladder, your sphere of influence grows on who you can actually change and empower within your organization. So in closing, close range group, you've got to be resilient and positive. If you're negative, things around you are going to be negative. For the medium range group, you need to inspire those around you to have strong foundations. Make sure that you leave the organization, and especially the person coming in behind you, better than when you got there or when you took over. And for the long range group, empower those around you. Even the most junior should feel like they matter and what they have to say is important. And even if it's simply just you on your team, making sure that they feel that way, you're empowering them. Thanks again for however you're getting this episode, whether you're listening to it or watching it. Please help the podcast by subscribing to it, by leaving a comment, and by sharing it with anybody that you think might benefit from hearing it. And until the next time, keep setting the example.